Hey world, welcome to the RC Air Experience, episode number 23. We're almost at 24, obviously, and we're one past 22. Today we've got Adam from Model AV8R, and that's his handle on YouTube, Model AV8R. We're going to put some links down below. And a couple things before we say hi to Adam. Adam, I've done some perusing on your YouTube page. I don't know if you know this stuff, but you've got 4.81 million views.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Nice.
You're at 16.9, so 16,900 subs, almost 17,000 subscribers. Congratulations. That's a lot of work. And
Thank
you've released 505 videos during the lifetime of your channel. So congratulations.
Well, thanks,
Wow.
man. I appreciate it.
You're
It's
killing
it's
it.
great to be here and meet you guys. You've got a serious channel, Jonathan.
Eh, it's all the same, man. We all do what we like and enjoy, and some people
I
more people have hit that subscribe button on mine than yours, but lately you're killing it with videos. You've done 26 videos over the last 30 days, which is
well,
Wow.
that's a lot of shorts. We do
well,
full length videos every Friday,
okay.
and just one full length a week, and then I'll put 2 or 3 shorts out during the
Nice.
week. Sometimes maybe a couple a
Awesome.
day. We're trying to hit that we're pressing really hard and trying to reach 17,000 before Christmas, which we should do pretty easy. So
Yeah,
Yeah. You're almost there.
very cool. Yeah.
yeah, we're getting there. We're doing around about 620 every 28 days, so that's not bad.
No,
It
not at
looks
all.
like you're getting about 20 to 25 subscribers a day, right? I've got a program that looks at all the metrics of your channel. So,
Yeah,
hey, you're
yeah.
doing awesome.
Well, we
So
appreciate
now
it.
I envy everybody because I have a tiny little pittance little YouTube channel that I don't get to ever upload. And I probably have 50 videos that are shot that need to be edited and uploaded. And what a lot of people, and I envy both you and Jonathan listening to your upload schedule and everything. And Jonathan, he's like my idol because he's a machine, literally. Um, a lot of people don't understand like the amount of time and work that actually goes into like getting a video up and out. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's so for you to do like you have a full-time job, right? A life outside of YouTube, all of that, and for you
yeah,
to consistently say I'm going to do one video a week, like that's a time crunch. Just one video is a lot of
yeah,
work and time. You know,
yeah.
how many hours do you say you put aside for a video every week?
It depends on how detailed it is. If it's a really detailed video between Heidi and it's a team effort. My wife Heidi
Right.
is she's the camera person, and I come up with I guess you call them the director's notes. I come up with the way that the that the episode is going to go together, and then she goes into Filmora and makes that happen, and then we just kind of work together to refine it. So if you count going to the field and all the editing, all the shooting in the shop here, that's what is really time consuming for me because I like
Hmm.
to be as professional as I can and get the correct information out. And I'm not a trained, actor or presenter, and
Right.
so I may have to shoot the same, 2 minute scene 15 times to get it right.
Um,
So so if it's a really detailed video, we'll put maybe 35 hours in it, and if it goes
Wow.
really, really, really well, we can get one done in maybe 10 hours.
wow. It's
Wow.
Yeah,
it's then that's what I'm talking about. Like even like I'll sit down and do like I don't know, like a 10-minute video even, and it's like 2 3 hours worth of editing and stuff. It's crazy. Like just sitting down between
oh yeah,
setting up cameras, shooting it, editing it,
yep,
going through it, doing the sound. It's like one video is a lot of work. So it's
yep,
it's it's commendable what you guys do because I get into a mode where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get some videos done, and then like everything goes out the window. And then it's actually my resolution for this year to get better. And my focus has been a lot on like my store and everything like that. And I'm trying to get back to doing some more of the YouTube stuff. But I do.
right,
I envy people who can stick to that, because you have to have a schedule. Like Jonathan, you talk about it all the time. You have a system. You have a
Yeah, I mean,
system.
Yeah.
for 5 years now, I've been uploading 2 videos a week, and this is actually so December right now. It's really weird for me because I've kind of taken a step back on my stuff that I'm doing, and I'm kind of taking December as a bit of a break time. So I've kind of committed to one video a week in December, which for me is it's a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of just enjoying December, but yeah, that's my schedule is 2 videos a week,
Yeah.
which is a lot. So
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's
It's
it's a tough game. And if the production value is really good, and you do a lot of different scenes, it's one thing if you go to the field, do
yeah,
the intro at the field, and that's easy. But when you have to do different scenes
yeah,
in different places, and then put all that stuff together, it is just so people have no idea
yeah,
how much time it
exactly.
is. And then they wonder why we get annoyed when some guy will come in the comment section and just say something just totally off base, and you're just like, dude, you got no idea, you really don't.
Yeah.
And it's
My
funny.
favorite to do with that is, can you please get somebody to learn how to like video the airplanes flying or whatever? Like some comment about filming the flying airplanes. And that drives me
Yeah,
nuts. My common go-to now is like, have you ever tried filming this little thing moving in the sky? Like give it a try sometime and see how that works for you.
it
it's
is
hard.
so hard. And Heidi
Yeah.
gets a
Yeah.
lot of compliments on that. She
Yeah.
really, she's very very good, but she's kind of an artistic soul. In fact, she teaches high school art,
Oh, cool.
and so it's really important to her to get it right. So she's put a ton. I mean, before our first video,
Hmm.
back in I guess it was 21, September 21 was our first video. We probably shot 70 hours of
Wow.
footage flying, just her practicing to
Yeah.
get to where she could just keep it somewhere in the frame. And
Yeah.
now, I can fly a 3D plane and just be flying it like a madman, and she
Yeah.
knows me, so she can follow it. And or really fast EDF, those things used to intimidate her. Now nothing intimidates her. She just
Yeah.
right in the center of the thing the whole time, and
That's
that's key.
cool.
I think that's been
Yeah.
key to the whatever success we've had. The footage is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I, I always, when I'm listening to like my wife shooting the plane flying by,
Yeah.
she like whispers to herself like shit, like, and she'll curse like,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
I'm replaying it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
babe, I get it, but you're recording, so you can't be like,
Yeah.
F,
Yeah.
I lost it, like, or where
Heidi
the
will
F
do the
did you
same.
go? She,
Every now and then I'll mess with her, and the closer you are, the harder it is. And so
Yeah.
we'll have the footage, and I'll know, and we'll just be shooting, like some B-roll and stuff, and I'll pass her like 5 feet in front of her, just hauling, and she'll just go like that, and just put the camera down and go, really, really, you expect me to stay with that? Come on.
it's so funny.
Yeah,
That's why I was cracking up, because it's funny when I'm going through and I'm like looking at her flight footage, and like you'll hear her in the background like, you
yeah.
bastard, come get, like, it's so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I saw one of your shows that you did. I guess it was one of the podcasts, The Wives of RC, where you had
yeah,
your
Yeah.
wives there. It was really cool to see your wives, but that people don't have any idea when you have a supportive wife and you do what we
Yes.
do. That makes 100% the difference.
we were
Yeah.
just talking about that, actually. We were
Yeah.
just literally talking about possibly having a Wives of RC2, because like they've both become very involved in like
Yeah.
what we're doing outside of the podcast, and like my wife didn't know anything about any of this stuff, right? Like she didn't know
Right.
anything about remote control, anything, just allowed me to kind
Yeah.
of have my hobby and my passion. And we've been to a bunch of shows and stuff with the store and everything like that. And like now people like recognize her and like come up to her and talk to her, and she's
Right.
starting to learn, and she's like, helping package stuff. Like it's like you said, like it's you couldn't do it without her, like at all.
Hmm.
Like she's the one
Yeah.
who helps me film at the field. She's the one, like you said, filming the planes. It's
I think a
awesome to
good
have a wife that does that.
yeah, good camera person. And if it's your wife, it's great because they're always available, and
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
always the same person that's shooting you. They get to know you. They get to know your
Yeah.
tendencies and how you
Right.
fly. It's easier to stay with you. But I think having a camera person or not having it, I think is the difference in a YouTube channel really growing and getting attention quickly, and not
Hmm.
because a lot of people are really talented, but if you're hat camming it, it's tough. I mean, it's just really
Yep.
tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So is your wife? I mean, she's more than welcome to pop on and say hi now. But if she wants, if you guys want to come on the Wives of RC too, I'll extend the
I would
invite.
love to do that. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I told her earlier, they may want you to come on. And she goes, I've taken my makeup off. No way. I'm like, yes, ma'am.
You know, it's
Yes, ma'am.
I can tell though, like she is important to your operation because whenever me and you are communicating through text and everything, it's we. So like she's a part of the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Like you don't say
Yeah.
me, it's we, which is
Yep.
it's cool, you know. And
Yep.
they deserve the
Well,
credit. Listen,
it
I
is.
would
It's a
probably
team
be
effort.
divorced. Right.
Yep. And
If it was another wife, I'd probably be divorced. I don't know about you, John, but I would probably be divorced.
I actually
It's
had somebody give me crap about that in a comment. He's like, "Why do you say
Really?
we?" Yeah, he's like, "Why do you say we? You make it sound like it's a company." I'm like, "Well, it's not a company, but it's a team effort. It's my wife and I.
Yeah.
It is we. It's
absolutely.
not me." And I don't know. That's just how I look at it. Give credit where
No,
credit is due.
Yeah.
it's true. It's funny though. I had a customer recently tell me about the footage and like you guys were just talking about how it's hard to film a tiny little plane in the sky and stuff, and he was like, you got to try to tell her to zoom in a little bit better and yeah, buddy, I'm gonna go
Yes.
upstairs and be like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
you know, by the way,
Yeah.
customer said you got to do a better job filming.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not sleeping on the
I
couch
believe I
tonight,
would have.
pal.
I think I may have told him, "Look, dude, I got to go home with her. You tell her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See how that
exactly.
works for you. Go ahead."
So Adam,
So
I'm curious, what made you start the YouTube side of things?
You know, I wanted to do it for years, and
Yeah.
it was a matter of whether or not Heidi was willing to do it with me, because I knew
Okay.
if we didn't have a camera person that I wasn't going to be able to do it the way I wanted to do it. And what got me started doing it, we wanted to do reviews. We were thinking Top Gear. We wanted to do a bunch of different types of things, challenges and scale flights and things like that. But the main thing is when it comes to the reviews, there was nobody at the time that was covering every part that I wanted to know about the airplane, and then doing the
Hmm.
demo. There were I'd watch a video and I'd have questions, and I thought, well, if I was doing that, I would show this and this, and I'd do a stall, and I'd do a vertical climb as far as it would go, so they could see what kind of vertical it has, and answer all the
Hmm.
questions. And so we're making the content that we'd like to see,
Yeah.
basically.
Nice. That's great.
So looking at your channel, it looks like your most popular video was the Durafly Auto Gyro, and that one has 72,000 views on it.
Yeah, I cannot explain that. I think that was one of those Google grabs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every
Yep.
now and then, Google they'll just promote something, and I think that's what happened with that one. But yeah, it's funny that the aircraft that I have the least amount of experience with is the top video. I was struggling there a little bit. That's the first
I
time I
almost
flew
picked
anything
one of
like
those
that.
up. I almost picked one of those up, and I was like, it's just too funky for me. I don't know. I just can't do it. It was close.
If you fly a Cub, and use the rudder, you can fly that. It's just the funky thing about it. It's not the use of rudder to get it around. It's that
Hmm.
with every throttle change, it does something different. Like there's no
Yeah.
consistent throttle setting where you can hold altitude. You got to be jockeying the throttle the whole time. So it's odd to fly, but makes you feel good when you get it right. But you're going to break
Right.
some. You need some extra blades when you order it. Order like 3 sets of blades because you'll need at least two of those. Take it from me.
Have you ever flown one of those, Jonathan? The
No.
auto gyro?
No.
I was looking at that, and I want to put like a full pan tilt like FPV setup on one of those parasail things from Hobby King.
Oh yeah.
And you know, almost have like a little dude parasailing, like a little RC dude parasailing, you know, with first person view, and it's
It
another
would be
little
kind of
funky
cool to
thing.
be like to move the camera over and see his
Right,
arm holding
Yeah.
the shoot things, right? So
right. But every video I've seen, well, not every video, a lot of videos I've seen of them, people have a hard time either flying them or taking off with them. Seems to
yeah.
be like a
Yeah, one guy
challenge.
at our field had one this past summer, maybe, or was the summer previous, and he couldn't even get it off the ground. Like I know he was trying to like lift it and get it going, and then it was just a nightmare. So
Yeah, it
Right,
looks
and that's why
difficult.
I kind of stayed away. It's
yeah.
like
Yeah. I want to
it's
say Stuart Warren asked me if I wanted to fly one of those, and I said yeah, but he never sent one, so I don't know.
Oh,
I'm a little concerned about getting the wires tangled. It
yeah,
looks like it'd be very easy to get that thing just completely.
exactly. Yeah,
especially on like the hand launching. If it's not, I feel like if it's
yeah.
not like perfectly straight, or if anything's tangled
Right.
up, like it's just not going to
And
go
the
in your
chute just
favor.
goes like this and then wraps
Yeah.
itself up.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool as hell to like fly one FPV and get one up in the air, and I just don't see it working out for me. I really don't. It's
I think
just
he may have decided not to send me one because he said he was going to send one, and then my next question was, can you do aerobatics with it? Like, can you loop it? And he's like, well, you can, but you probably shouldn't. And I was like, well, I'm gonna, just so you know.
that's funny.
So what's your favorite plane that you own or flown?
Oh man, that's that's a tough question because I'm into so many different genres. Probably the airplane that means the most to me in my collection is a quarter scale Balsa USA J3 that
Nice.
a gentleman, Willie Dickerson, local pilot. I want to say Willie's 91 now, and I've owned that Cub. He flew that Cub for probably 30 years, and then I finally talked him out of it. And it's got he made me promise I wouldn't electrify it. He goes, you can't put one of them damn electric motors in it. Like it's got a Sato 150. That's how you got to fly it. I'm like, okay, all right, Willie, I will. So it's got his Sato 150 on it, and just because Willie built that, and I've known him for so many years, that
Yeah.
one probably means the most to me.
Nice.
I don't fly it very often, but it means the most.
Wow.
And how long have you been flying RC stuff or in the RC hobby?
Since 1981. I was
Wow.
13, so that shows you how old I'm showing my age now.
Crazy. So you've seen a lot of changes in the hobby.
I
A
have.
lot of
I have.
changes.
I have. How long
Wow.
have you guys been flying?
I started with helicopters in about 2009, I think, maybe 2008, something like that.
Okay.
So not very long, I
What
guess,
about
in the
you,
grand
Anthony?
scheme of things.
So I started. I had a traumatic upbringing with ours.
A
Wow.
father in an airplane and
I didn't mean to.
my dad went to aviation high school and stuff, and he was into building balsa planes and stuff back in the 80s. So I'm 44, so I started out with cars. Like I had like an instant like thing with RC cars when I was a kid. Like I was like 4 or 5 years old chasing around RC cars. Like they were like my favorite thing in the world. And then by the time I was like 10, 11, we did our first build. We had one of those foam, the Cox. We had a Cox, the foam Cox planes. We had one of those that was like a regular flyer.
Yeah.
And then we did a balsa build. We built it for like a year, and it ultimately met its demise with my dad like attacking it in the field because it would run in the basement, and then we would take it to the field and it wouldn't run, and then it would run in the basement. And we did this for like 3 months, and then finally one day he just lost it and was like, bah! Ran at the thing.
every time you tell this story, I think of Frank guy with the A10.
Frank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Frank,
it was just like that.
yeah, where he stomps it.
Oh,
Every now and then I show people that.
imagine
Oh.
like a little like 5'5" guy like on his hands and knees pummeling it and like biting it and like just absolutely going nuts. Like I was crying, had tears in my eyes. I'm like, I just watched a year of my life
Wow.
go out the window, and he just looks up with me with like covering coming out of his mouth. Like it was bad. It was like, but anyways, yeah, that's where we started. I took a break from planes for a while, and I was mostly cars. Like I was into RC car action, sending pictures in when I was a kid of all my little Tamiya builds, and I did a little bit of racing. I did some like semi-pro racing when I was younger, and then I got back into planes and drones and stuff. Probably it's going on almost like 10 years now.
That's
I
cool.
got the bug again, and
That is
it's
cool.
RC's been my whole. It's like it's always been like the one constant. Like
Yeah.
even if like cars and like I've always had like this thing with like RC vehicles like
Yeah.
forever. It's just something that I always really liked as a hobby.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's
I've
cool.
always loved airplanes because of my brother. He was when I was a little kid, he's a Marine Corps fighter pilot. He flew A4 Skyhawks,
Oh,
and
cool.
Nice.
then actually started. He was my instructor for full scale, and he had a buddy that he flew with for when he started flying for Delta that had a Cessna 177 Cardinal that he could get for free. So I actually learned how to fly on a 177 Cardinal, and then there was a J3 that the only tail dragger for rent anywhere in Georgia at the time, and he taught me how to fly tail wheel with that. And I think the flying with my brother in that J3, that's probably the most fun I've ever had in a
Right.
full scale plane. But because of that, I mean, airplanes have just been to this day. I mean, I'm a 56-year-old man, and if I walk outside and an airplane goes over, I can't help myself. I have to look and see what it is. I have to.
It's definitely so you have a full scale license, you fly.
I don't. You know, it's interesting. I got about 38 hours and then discovered muscle cars and girls. And that was the end of my flying full scale. I couldn't afford both.
Yeah,
And you
no,
needed 40 hours, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yep.
no,
Yep. I was like
no.
2 hours away.
Yeah.
Sometimes I kick myself, but I mean, when I take a look at how good my life is now, how blessed I
Yeah.
am, the wife that I have, the life that I have, you know,
Right.
I might regret some decisions I made back in the day, but I don't regret where I ended up. So
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's awesome. It's good not to have any regrets. So I've been asking a bunch of people that I've been talking to, specifically YouTubers, this question, and I wanted to ask you too. So, what do you do? You've obviously reviewed a lot of planes, right?
right, yeah,
What do you do with all these planes?
we have a storage building, and I give a lot of them away. Um,
Okay.
there's a lot of local people. I'm a member of one club where I haven't gotten to everybody in the club, but I'm working on it. And if there's a new kid that comes up and wants to fly, and we just, we're blessed to get them. So I don't sell these. I just give them
Yeah.
away to
Right.
people. You know,
Yeah, because
I've gotten
everybody
people
said
into
the same
EDFs
thing.
that thought they never would fly one, and I'm giving a lot of trainers away to newer people. So yeah,
Awesome.
we just share the blessing. That's it.
Yeah, that's great.
So, how many do you think you have? Because that storage unit answer has been like the common answer. It's like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
swear to you, everybody's kind of
man.
like, yeah, I got a storage unit. It's got like 100 planes in it, and sometimes we'll give them away or we'll do
I
some
don't
kind of
think I've got
video.
I don't think I've got 100, but we're probably 60
Wow.
or so,
Hmm.
something like that.
That's a
And I mean,
lot.
then there's several on that list that we're gonna be passing on to people. But we just started doing a series on the channel where we take a second look at some of the airplanes that we, after we fly them for a while, and
Right.
just kind of give an update of how they're holding up, and is there anything that we changed in the setup or anything like that. So there's some that I'm flying a lot that I'm just going to keep for that.
Right. One of the things I've noticed now also, because of and not just the YouTube thing, but the store thing, is I don't get the opportunity just to kind of like go out and fly. And I don't know if this is the same thing with you now because your channel and everything like that.
Yeah.
Do you get to do that? And if you do, like, what planes are the planes that you say, all right, you know what, I'm just going out to have fun and fly today. I'm going to take my 5
Right.
favorite planes. What planes are those? That's
Right.
Which ones would you say?
I get to every now and then, but it's only because Heidi and I have become more efficient at getting the episodes done and getting
Right.
an episode or two ahead. And if we get a couple weeks ahead, then I might be able to just go out on a Sunday when we actually don't have to go shoot anything. But most of the time when I go out, we're shooting for future footage. So,
Right.
but when I get a chance to go out and fly, lately I've gotten back into 3D. We had to review a 3D plane, and I was really pissed off at how bad I was at it, and just certain things that I used to be able to do so easy, and now it's hard. And so I've been flying. I've got an Extreme Flight 48-inch Edge that I've been
Nice.
flying a lot. I've been experimenting with that AS3X Plus to try to get that worked out on a 3D plane the way that I like, because I'm not one of those guys that likes a lot of game.
Right.
Less is more for me.
Right.
I don't want the airplane to look robotic, and I still want to have to do some of that. I don't know if I can curse, but I call it that pilot shit. like
Right.
like when I'm pulling over the top, and you would need to feed right rudder in to hold your line at the top of a loop. I want to have to do that. You can crank the gain up enough to where you don't have to, but I don't like that. So
Right.
it's interesting. Gyros are something I was not into at all.
Yeah.
When we started the channel. And because Horizon started sending us stuff and we have a relationship with them, I've had to learn how to tune a gyro and learn what they're good for. And I just try to keep myself honest. So I use it in some, and then some airplanes I just leave it out because I want to be able to stay versed at just setting up a pure airframe with no stabilization. And I feel like the only way to do that is to do it. So
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, I've been flying 3D planes a lot. Viper 90, I've really been enjoying that.
Nice. That's a nice plane.
That's a
It is.
fun jet to fly.
Yeah. 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 I'm with you on the whole gyro thing. I'm kind of not into the whole gyro thing as well. I kind of some of the planes I have flight controllers on, and I'll have a mode to have like gyro mode basically, and I rarely use it. I'll use it if I get into trouble or something, or if I want to pull my goggles up or something real quick. You know what I mean? But I feel like a lot of new pilots rely on the gyro too much, and then it hinders them being able to like not fly without it, like, or get themselves out of trouble. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Stuff gets Yeah. Well, like Safe is great technology if you use it right.
Yeah.
But what that's meant for is for you to flip into it if you lose orientation and get into all kinds of trouble. But then you need to climb right back up, turn it off, and learn how to fly the airplane, which is the standard, gyro. And something that I've discovered when it comes to the gyros, I've got airplanes that had little issues where the setup is, it's 95% there. But there's just one little nagging thing that annoyed me, and I'm learning how to kind of dial stuff like that out using a gyro. So I'm not anti-gyro. I'm not pro-gyro. I'm pro get experience with everything. You need to know how to tune a gyro. You need to know how to tune an airplane without it. You need to understand that the best gyro setup you're ever going to have is tune the airframe first, get it flying as good as you can, and then bring the gyro in a little bit at a time to just kind of put the cherry on top. But people don't learn how to do that now that get in everything is made so easy that people like Jonathan that, are master builders, nobody's learning how to do that. I mean, I get guys that complain in the comment section about I can't fly my airplane for the last 2 months because the prop's out of stock. And I'm like, dude, you ever heard of APC? you can get another prop. You don't have to have
Yeah,
that one. But
exactly.
it's just, but they just don't like they don't learn anything,
Yeah.
and the interesting thing is when you give them the advice and tell them to learn something, some of them will just flat out tell you, I don't have time for that. I don't want to. I just want to go
Yeah.
fly. And I'm like, okay.
What do you prefer, electric or gas? I know you kind of have
I
both, right?
I love the sound of the gas. I've never been a good enough tuner to be to say that I'm versed at that. I know just enough to be dangerous. So I would say electric just because I know how to tune those really well.
Right, right. Is
I'm not
is
far off from you too, because it's the same way for me. I don't like flying gas aircraft. I don't even own any
Right.
currently. Turbines
Yeah.
are a lot like EDFs. They either
Right.
work or they don't work, right? So there's
Right.
no tuning
Right.
involved.
Yeah.
I was just going to
I've
ask
got
him.
buddies.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask
I'm
him
sorry.
the turbine question. Is that in your future? Or are you?
I don't know, man. They're so expensive. I am a member of George Jets, and that's a really nice club in Gay, Georgia. They have a
Mhm.
1,000 foot paved runway.
Yeah,
Wow.
Electric. It's really a
it's a
nice
beautiful spot.
facility. Yeah. And
Yeah.
have
You've
you
been there,
been,
John?
John?
No, I've just seen videos.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, from the videos, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it looks
It is.
amazing.
It's pretty spectacular. But I've got a buddy, Steve Royer, that let me fly his T1 Mini, and
Yeah,
that the nice thing about a lot of the turbines is you can get into really big stuff, and of course the
yeah,
bigger they are, the better they fly, which is
yeah,
just awesome. But the adjustment for me, he put me on the buddy box, and then let me have it from takeoff to landing. And the only thing he had to do was apply the brakes after landing because
yeah,
I just could not wrap my head around where it was and how to
yeah,
properly do it. But I did everything else in the flight, and the big adjustment for me is with an EDF. When you press the throttle forward, it
yeah,
gives you thrust. I mean, like yesterday. And
Yeah.
yeah.
with a turbine, the spool up, you got to plan ahead and stay a step or two ahead of that thing.
Yeah, and if you can imagine, like when I first started flying turbine aircraft, so that was like 2009, 10, something like that. I mean, we were still, compared to today's standards, we were using old turbines, right?
Right.
And I mean, I remember my first turbine was an RTI 2800 SC, and from dead idle to full throttle, it was about 8 to 10 seconds. So
Wow.
yeah,
Man.
like I remember my F-22 is my very first or my second aircraft, and like if I was coming in for a landing, there was no flaps on that thing. It was just ailerons. That's it. And if I was coming in for a landing and I didn't time that turbine properly, it was like you're either committed or you're not, right? So,
Yeah.
I
Wow.
mean,
Yeah.
today's turbines of like a 4 second spool up time, for somebody
Yeah.
like you, it seems slow because of what you're used to. But for somebody
Right.
like me that's been doing it for a long time, like I'm like, holy crap, these things are so fast now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
4 seconds though. That still seems like in the thick of it. That seems like an eternity, right? I mean, it's got to be
Yeah.
like.
well,
I,
yeah,
Well.
it's a long time, but compared to what it used to be, I mean,
yeah, it's
you're
crazy.
40. I don't even know what the math works out to be, but you're 10 to 12 seconds versus 4, right? That's a huge
Yeah.
difference.
Well, for
And you
me,
can't just.
flying 3D, I'm used
Yeah,
to jockeying the throttle a lot,
yeah,
and so when I come in, and it's a bad habit, especially with jets, because with a jet, even an EDF, you really should just set a throttle setting
yeah.
and bring it in, and I'm still sitting there blipping the the throttle like I'm in a
Woo,
Harrier,
woo,
just
woo,
just because
woo.
because I'm just so used to doing it. It's a really bad habit, but I'm so good at it, it doesn't get me in trouble. But I can get away with it because the EDF does respond that fast. You try that with a
Yes.
turbine, man, you're in deep trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
so John, have you seen FTL Innovation? Have you seen they're promoting some new turbine? Have you seen that thing?
Yeah, so they actually reached out to me kind of before they started putting pictures on Facebook, and we were kind of chatting back and forth, and then um that didn't really work out. But yeah, so I haven't seen one in person, but I've seen the turbine you're talking about. So
What's the deal with? I mean, it doesn't look like a regular turbine. It looks kind of fancy and
Yeah, I mean it's a different design. Obviously, you've got your instead of having your standard FOD screen and your front cover, that front cover is kind of coming up further, and then the FOD screen's kind of inset a bit. The tail cone's a different design. So I think Boomerang or HeliDirect is working with them now. So I think that one's going to be available from HeliDirect or Boomerang. Yeah, I mean they're happy with it, and those guys fly a ton. I mean Dan Landis and all the guys at Boomerang, they're putting it through its paces. So
Let's see
So,
here.
what is the advantage of the new design over old designs? What does it do better?
well, from what I've gathered on from the pictures I've seen and stuff, is there's just one connect. I mean, and they're all pretty much the same now. There's one fuel connection, one data connection, but on this particular turbine, it's a small turbine, but the fuel pump is located under the cover, I believe, which is not normal for a small turbine like that because there's not a lot of room under the front of that cover. So
So now, so FTL's working with Boomerang and did you say
HeliDirect, that's Boomerang basically in
that's
the
Boomerang,
US.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They
So
are
and then
what?
if you scroll down there, so they've got the Lancer. So the
Right.
Lancer is the same plane as the Boomerang Atom, but it's the bigger version. So what does it say there? 2.8 meters.
Yes,
So
2.8 and 2.1.
yeah, so I've got a pair of Atoms coming, one for me, one for sale, and the Lancer is just the bigger version of it. But you'll also see Boomerang selling this F-16 and the J-10 as well too soon. And these are all they'll be through the Boomerang lineup, but they're all FTL innovation planes. So
So now FTL is out of where? Out of
I
the
think it's out of
US,
China or Taiwan or something like that, I believe. I'm just guessing. I don't quote me on that.
Hmm.
and this is going to be another, order a plane and wait 6 weeks to get a plane, or are they going to be holding
No, I'm
inventory?
sure they'll have stock. Like Boomerang pretty much stocks a lot of their stuff in the warehouse in the US.
Yeah, F-16 looks like a gorgeous plane.
Yeah, it's cool. Again, there's a few of those being flown right now, and guys are happy with them.
I was just looking at, I came across the turbine and I was like, this thing looks crazy. It looks kind of like modern compared to what.
Yeah, I mean, you always get the naysayers, right? Guys like the FTL and the supporters are posting pictures on Facebook and stuff. And one of the common comments is, oh, another turbine brand or, something along those lines. And it's like, you know what? More power to you. I mean, I'm a Swiwin guy, a Chikoi guy. I'm happy to see more turbines on the market because there's always room for all the new flyers we've got coming to the turbine side. And there's nothing wrong with innovation. And if these
No,
guys have something new, I think it's cool.
right. And innovation will push other companies. Like if they end up coming out with something that is innovative, then
Yeah.
Sweden and Zukoi and all those other companies are going to have to kind of keep up, right? Like they'll
Yeah,
have to start
exactly.
innovating as well. So this thing
Yeah,
looks
that's
crazy.
that's a good picture. Yeah, I mean, innovation is the reason we are where we are today with battery technology, with foamy planes, and all this stuff we have, right? But yeah, if you look at that
Yeah.
picture there, looks like a simple one cable setup. The fuel pumps underneath the front, built-in fuel pump. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
nice
twenty
and
one ninety
simple.
nine. I mean, I don't really know much about turbines, but that seems like it's reasonably priced, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, for a 100 Newton turbine, that's I mean that's right in the range of what most manufacturers would be for a 100 Newton turbine. So
wow.
It looks good. Looks really clean.
yeah, it does. It does look really good. When I first saw pictures, I was like, "Ooh, that's." I mean, without knowing how the thing runs, just looking at it, it looks really sexy. So
It
Right.
does look
Yeah.
really sexy. That's what
like
caught my like.
especially that picture, the shiny finish on it. Yeah,
It's almost like a piece of art.
yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be interesting. So are you going to get your hands on one of these turbines?
Um, as of right now, no. But there's another brand coming to the U.S. as well too. They're supposed to be sending me one in the new year to review. So maybe we'll see one of these come in the shop. I'm not sure.
Can you talk about the other brand or no?
It's the new, I honestly can't remember the name. It's the new blue case one. So it's a silver body blue case. I can't remember the name of it, but if I think about it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, awesome. No, that's cool. It's like you said, innovation's cool. It's cool to see stuff like this. People pushing it. This is a nice,
Yeah.
clean. It just looks like a nice, clean setup.
Well, it's super simple, right? Like you basically have your fuel feed going to the turbine,
Yep.
nothing external, and you've got your hub or your ECU, and that's it, right? Like it doesn't get any more simple than that right there. So
They're making
No, and you know what?
everything easy.
yeah, yeah,
This looks like this would be good for. It's a smaller turbine. This would be good for one of those foam conversions, right? Since it's so
yes,
clean, minimal wiring, minimal.
yeah. I mean, I think back to a couple weeks ago when I pulled that old Olympus turbine out of the. You can't see it in the video, but the F100 that's behind me. I mean, just the complexity of that turbine that's 15, 20 years old, like with all the external components and this, like it's just nuts, right? Compared to something like this, which is
Right.
just so much more user friendly.
With
Yeah,
the
this is
new
cool.
stuff like that, do you have a longer period of time between overhauls? Is it like 25 hours on a standard one, and then you have to have it checked?
Yeah, the norm is pretty much 25 hours in the industry. You'll find that with the new stuff compared to the antiquated stuff, especially like the AMT turbines. AMTs are like I don't even know what you call them, the Rolls Royce of turbine engines. A lot of guys say they go 50, 75, 100 hours before maybe even thinking about sending them back. So, but that also comes with a huge weight penalty, right? So, usually on the
Right.
newer turbines, they're turning at such a generally a higher RPM is kind of been the norm. But yeah, pretty much 25 hours is you want to be sending it back to get it
Yep.
overhauled or new bearings put in.
This one says 25 hours right here,
Yeah,
maintenance cycle.
it's basically the standard.
Yeah.
Just a healthy suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, there's lots of guys out there that they've got a nice turbine and maybe there's only a 1 or 2 year warranty on it and it's 3 years old and it's got 25 hours. And I know lots of guys that just keep running the thing. And when it starts to sound funny, land and don't fly again and send it back, right? Because it's already out of
Yeah.
warranty. I'm not suggesting that to anybody, but that's there's a lot of
Right.
there's a lot of guys that do that, right? So
Right.
It's funny. I'm not suggesting that, but
well, you always, as you get more popular, Anthony, you have to put those disclaimers everywhere because otherwise you get in trouble. Everybody comes after you.
yeah, that's funny. That is funny.
That was a big adjustment for me is the comment section. How about you guys?
Yeah. It's I've actually what I've learned with the comment section is I used to look at it daily and respond daily, and I kind of initially let it bother me. What I do now is usually once a week. So usually Monday mornings, Sunday evenings, Monday mornings, I'll sit down and go through all my comments, and sometimes I'll hop in there, but I've just started doing it once a week, and
Right.
anything that's negative, if it's really negative, I actually block the user from my channel. They don't even know that they're blocked and they can still
Yeah.
comment, but nobody sees it.
Just
Or
hide
I
user
just,
from channel. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Or I just make some stupid remark that,
Mm-hmm.
that's not ignorant, but just saying, thank you so much for your amazing thoughts or,
Yeah.
something like that. So,
Yeah.
Every now and then I can't help myself but engage the
oh yeah,
occasional
I know.
moron.
I do
just
that
can't.
too sometimes.
Like I had one today, and I ended up just hiding him from the channel. But we, I had on this particular airplane, I had taken the lock nuts off
Yeah.
and put them back on, and I was doing the build, and I said, use Loctite because
Yeah.
Nylock that's a one time thing, right?
Yes.
And so this guy's giving me all kinds of crap about, but the way he starts it out is, "Hey, dummy," like that was
Yeah.
the way he started it out, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and so I explained to him, what I was doing, and that even if Loctite dissolves the Nylock, guess what? The Loctite will hold it, so it really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So it's no need to have a duck about it. But since you address me as dummy, I just like to tell you I'll be at CEF 2025. Come out from behind your keyboard and walk up to me and say that, and see how that goes
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Keyboard
but
tough
just
guys.
yeah. I mean, everybody's a UFC fighter hiding behind the keyboard, but
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
but we go to events and people are nothing but kind, which
Yeah.
is awesome, and that took some
Yeah.
getting used to. Um,
Yeah.
walking into an event and having people go, hey, you're Adam and you're hiding.
Yeah.
Can I take a guy asked me that this guy, he's like 70 years old. He goes, can I take a picture with you guys? I'm like, sure, man. I didn't know what I didn't know what to say. But I'm still
Yeah.
not I'm still not used to that. But it is really nice. People are super nice, and I
Yeah.
love it when they come up to us and engage us. It really makes you feel good about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that put it in perspective for me, I think was so every year in June we go down to Montana Jets, and I think it was two years ago. So not this last season, the one before. Um, I was probably like 30,000 subscribers or something like that. But one of these guys came up to me and he's like, you know what? I feel like I really know you, and I understand that you have no idea who I am. And I kind of thought about that afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's totally it, right? Like, I've
Yeah,
never met you before. I don't even know your name, but
Right.
you've watched me for years on the
right.
internet, so you know a lot about me. So that kind of put it in perspective for me. It was interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true.
It's cool.
Especially you shared your house builds, and I
Yeah,
watched all of that stuff too. You still
yeah.
do? I don't really follow that channel as much anymore. Are you still doing that channel, or is that?
No, that one I think the last time I put anything up there was like 2 years ago,
Yeah, it was
something like
cool
that.
watching you go through the whole house build and everything. Though it was pretty cool.
Did you
So
guys follow Mike Patey's house build?
No.
Did you
no,
watch that?
no, he's a
The dude
madman though. The
is
stuff he builds is
dude, and he's got a lot more money than I thought he did.
oh yeah,
I have I have never seen so much concrete in all my life. I mean, I'll bet
Wow.
he's got literally millions just in the concrete to that house. He's got a
Wow.
20. It's like a 24-foot pool, 24 feet deep, with windows that you can look in, and then a platform that goes up so you can. So if you want to have a kiddie pool, you can bring the platform up to 3 feet, have a kiddie pool, or you can take it all the way down to 24 and you can practice diving.
Yeah.
Just
Or bring it
crazy.
all the way up and you can have like a dance floor or something, right?
That's exactly
Yeah.
what he said. That's exactly what he
Yeah.
said. But yeah, it just
Crazy.
he does not have to do anything.
yeah. You can tell though, just from I mean, I didn't see any of that stuff, but just from his airplane stuff, like you could tell he's got
Yeah,
bank. Like I mean, the stuff he builds, the stuff he plays with, he's got real
Crazy.
muscle. Yeah,
yeah.
and I guess it's from his company. I guess that Best Hugs company. I guess is
Well,
I
he
don't
has
know.
another. I think he makes most of his. He has a environmental waste disposal company. I think that's where he makes most of his money. But you know,
You
he's
never
one of
know,
those
right?
guys. Everything he touches turns to gold. So
Yeah. No, he's
you
a
know,
very talented, smart dude. Like
yeah,
extremely
yeah,
talented, smart dude. You can
yeah,
tell he's just one of those guys that just can look at something, figure it out, make it work. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I was
so
talking to a buddy of mine who was talking. He was talking about Draco and Scrappy and just how amazing his airplanes are. And he goes, "Man, that guy's more innovative than anybody at any of these other companies." I'm like, "Dude, those other companies have to resell what they're doing. They can't.
right,
Yeah.
You realize Draco's like a $2 million airplane, and that's just
right,
in parts. If you
yeah,
add the labor and development, Beechcraft, for instance, they'd have 20 million in bringing something
Yeah.
like that to market. They can't afford to
right,
do
Yeah.
that, and who's going to buy it?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, he probably paid off more than half of that with the models from E-Flight on the Draco, right? I mean, they sold a lot of those, and he got a piece of
Yeah,
every one they sold.
yeah.
So like you said,
Yeah,
he touched.
I like
his
that
aviation
airplane.
park videos. I've seen some of those, and that's pretty nuts, that project.
That's
Yeah,
going to be something else. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's got a lot of investors helping with that, though.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, yeah,
I just say must be nice, must
yeah.
be
No,
nice.
that's cool, man. That's good.
Yeah,
Somebody's got to do
So
it.
there you go. All right. So speaking
yeah.
of nice, I really like that Cavan Porter. That thing is
The Pilatus, right?
Well, you know, nobody that I saw online actually bothered to really slow it down, and I
Mm,
did, and it's amazing how slow. I mean, yeah, it's a stall plane, and it's
yeah.
really really good at that. And I can't wait to get that. And I've been watching videos of the full scale Norden. I didn't realize what an awesome airplane that is in real life. So I'm really looking forward to playing with the model. I'm gonna do my best to duplicate the one thing the guy does where he brings it in a super high alpha slip with like the wingtip a couple feet off the ground. I'm gonna try to do that with the model.
So it's funny because Brian Phillips did a video on the Pilatus and he trashed it. Well, he trashed the assembly of it, and then he flew it and he kind of liked flying it. I I flew that plane like the first couple of times, and remember, like when I'm flying the Pilatus, like I'm one of the only people in the country at this point who's actually flying this thing because not a lot of people have them, right?
Yep.
And my first couple of flights, I'm like, and I fly everything FPV, right? So it's different than staring at the plane. I'm actually in the plane.
Right.
Um, I noticed right away that it was like a really smooth flying plane, like very good characteristics, and so I
Yep.
have other Cub style planes, and I guess you could consider it a Cub style plane, right? I mean, it's in that kind of category, right?
Same basic layout. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
have an E-flite Mall. I have a Dynam Cub. I have a couple of other Cubs, and just right off the bat, like it's so smooth. Like it's just no bad
Yeah.
tendencies, very
Well, it's got a
smooth.
super super light wing loading, and
Right.
yeah, and like you say, no, but I mean, it stalls literally. It doesn't drop a wing. It just drops the nose straight forward, dirty or
Yep.
clean. Just a good flying airplane. The assembly, I didn't watch Brian's video. I don't know what he did to trash the assembly, but I let people know up front. Look, don't expect this is not one. I think I see you can't do a genie blink and have this thing ready to go. It's
Right.
you know, it's
So
but it's not meant to be that way. It's
no, and I didn't find it overly hard. So on mine, I had a little bit of an issue, and I don't know if you had an issue with yours. Putting the rudder, the tail fin in, right? Mine, the foam was like a little tight on mine,
yeah,
so like I had to really push it in to get it in.
yeah.
Um,
No,
and he had an issue with the
anything like
cotter
that
pins
with the cotter pins.
on the struts, on the wing struts. He had an
Okay.
issue fitting the cotter pins in the holes, and he said he fought with it for like half an hour. But then I'm like, whenever I fight with like a control horn or something like that, I have a tiny little hand drill that I just go wick, and I open up
Yeah.
the hole like a tiny little bit, and I no longer have to fight with it. Like for me, something that
I mean,
small like should take two
it's just a
seconds. So
matter of lining the strut up with the holes in the bracket. It's not. I mean, I went to push it in, didn't go in, so I pushed it harder, went right in. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that's so damn hard. I don't know. That's crazy.
so the one thing I
Yeah.
like about it is I like the grass hops on it a lot.
Yeah.
It does, and it's got smaller wheels, right? So it's like the
Yep.
Maul's got bigger wheels, and some of the other planes have bigger wheels, and it's got I don't know, I
Yep.
think they're 2 or 3 inch wheels on it, and
Yeah.
and
They do fine.
it's
They
crazy.
do.
Like it kind of like
Yeah.
squats and it like goes on the grass. Like I've flown it
Yeah.
off of really thick grass and stuff.
Yeah. I
So
dropped it in, and it just stuck almost like an
yeah,
RC truck.
I did a
Didn't
hard
bounce.
I did
Yeah.
a hard landing test on it just to kind of test the landing gear and see how how it does without breaking the gear and stuff, and it took it fine. I'm saying all this to say not just because obviously I sell them, but
Right.
that has become one of my favorite planes to fly. Like
Yeah.
it's a plane that I actually like enjoy flying. Like if I have time to go out and just do like a quick flight or something, like I
Mm-hmm.
know it takes 2 seconds to bolt on the wings. I could be at the field and I can fly a couple packs and have a great time and not have to worry about it. So it's
Yep.
become one of my favorite planes just to go out and fly. Now, I think I was telling you this the other day. The roll on it drives me a little nutty. It's not as aerobatic as I would like it to be. So I am going to swap out the motor, and I think I'm going to put a little bit more kV behind it. And I think I'm going to swap out the ESC and go with a little bit higher. I think it's got a 40 amp in it or 50 amp.
Yeah,
I think
so.
it's got a 40.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to like a 60 amp and maybe not go to like a bigger motor, but maybe go to more kV. I want to get a little bit more speed out of it.
Right.
Are you guys just flying those in stock format with the stock motors, servos, all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking at it on the website here. So.
Yeah. I didn't really do anything to it. And when it comes to putting that vertical in, on a lot of that friction fit stuff, I always sand to make sure that I get a good purchase, and I'll score a little bit. But every now and then with some of that stuff, I'll just squeeze the very bottom a little bit just so that it gets started easier, and then you can get it in there pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's
I scored it. I removed. So what I always do too is on the painted surfaces that get glued in, I take tape and I rip off. I'll score a line where I want the paint to not peel off from, right? And then I'll take some tape and I peel the paint off. So when I glue it in, it's foam to foam, not paint to foam. And then I'll make some tiny little holes in it too, so the glue really sets into both of the foam surfaces, so it's nice and strong.
Right.
Yeah, but so John, if you're looking at it, I gotta say, like it's a really, like, you could dead stick it, dead power, and it'll just fly. Like, it won't drop. Like, it's got very good characteristics. And then when you do get back on the power, for instance, like my maul, which I absolutely can't stand the E-flite maul anymore. I actually am probably going to take a handsaw to that thing pretty soon. I've had nothing but problems with the maul. My first 2 flights with the maul, the ESC caught fire. Literally caught fire. We had to run out and douse it in the middle of the field. Yeah. And then if you go online and look, it's a common problem with them. There's no air going to the ESC where the ESC is, and they catch fire. Like, there's a whole thread of these things catching on fire.
There were some issues with some of the earlier E-flite stuff. I think the Timber Evo had the same. It had a cooling issue with the ESC, and now they've got a guy, Gary Wright, is doing all their power systems, and he makes sure that there's enough headroom to where you're not going to have issues like that. But you're right. Yeah, they used to have some issues, but now they've changed the way they're testing it and changed the way they set. So they put way more ESC in everything than it really needs.
Right.
And they try to key on cooling. So they do a lot better job of that now than they used to, for sure.
So that was the first issue on that. And meanwhile, I put a full pan tilt setup in the maul. I have a little, I spent some time putting work into this freaking thing, and it's got a little digital readout that you can see through the goggles. Put my gimbal in there, my homemade gimbal in there, and everything. And so first thing is the ESC dies 2 flights in. Great. Now you swap out the ESC. Then the motor dies after I swap out the ESC. That was like flight 3 or 4. And then where the wings screw to the body, it's basically like it's got a tiny little tab on it that just goes into the fuselage. And every time I take the wings off, these stupid plastic pieces that the wings screw into, that's supposed to hold the wings on, rip out of the plane. And I'm talking, I've glued them, glued foam tack, hot glue, and almost every time they pop out. And then, like, the landing gear on a hard landing, like, bent, and now the wheels are, like, cockeyed, and I'm just like, this plane has been flown, like, 15 times. It's been more time working on it. Right. And it's like 10 screws at the field to put it together. It takes, like, 15 minutes to get the damn thing together at the field with these tiny little screws. It's like, I'm done with this thing. I'm chop sawing it, chop
Anthony, when are you going to have more PC6s back in?
It's a sore subject too. What, you want one? I'll send you one in Canada.
Yeah, no, I want one.
It's an awesome, dude. I'm telling you, it is an awesome flying plane. There's videos of me.
The reason I want it is because I want something to fly in front of my house. So
because
I fly a little glider right now, but this would be ideal.
Yeah,
what do you think of the? Have you flown the Norden, Anthony?
No, I'm getting it. I just got them in, and I'm getting them just as you are. I will tell you that I'm going to beat you to flying it and posting it. Just how it goes.
That's cool.
Well, we
That's
know
cool.
you'll beat him to flying it, but posting it, I don't know. You got like 50 videos queued up, right?
I have to
Well,
make that
Jonathan,
one. I got to make that
Jonathan, you
one.
might want to take a look at that Norden too. The thing I like about that is the double Fowler flaps, the
Yes.
split double
Oh,
split
yeah, yeah.
flaps, and the
Yeah.
fact that that when the flaps come down, the slats go out, they
Yes.
deploy, and then when you put the flaps up, the slats go in, and so it's clean, so you can fly it fast. But that should slow down really good.
Yeah.
With the slats and those
Yeah.
slotted flaps. I'm really looking forward to that. And the balloon, I'm really. Can you tell I'm excited about that airplane?
Yeah. It's on its way, buddy. It's on its way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
in
green
the
and
mail.
brown scheme is actually really nice.
You like the
Yeah.
brown scheme?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
That's what I
funny.
got.
It's hit or miss because like as I was talking to people about the pre-orders and stuff, it's like 90% of the comments were like, "Oh God, please make sure I get the blue and not the brown." And then like 10% of the comments are like, "Please, I love that brown. Send me the brown." So it's like it's funny
See,
how it goes.
Well, I'm a
I
bit of
live
a
in
weird guy. I
Georgia.
like everything to be different. So, like, I just
Right.
bought an orange pickup truck, right? Nobody buys an orange pickup truck. Well, I did. So,
I like it. I like it.
sorry, Adam, you're going to say,
No, I live in Georgia. I mean, people wear real tree camo to church, so
yeah, exactly. This fits right in then.
I love it. I like it.
No,
Nice.
it's pretty cool. The brown is it's nicely done. It's a nice
Yeah.
plane.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice plane. I'm hoping it flies. If it flies as well as the Pilatus, I'll be happy with it.
I'm thinking it may fly even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Which would be
my
saying
benchmark.
something. Yep.
Yeah. No.
But yeah,
I-
it's interesting the way people, different folks review stuff. One of the things that I've kind of caught crap for is people tell me I'm not hard enough on things. Like they'll say, well, how come you don't roast this like this channel did or that channel did? And I was like, well, but for one, because I'm not 7, and
Yeah.
for 2, because you can tell people about would-be issues and things like that without it being like a Comedy Central roast, and then give them the fix. It's called modeling, and if you have to do a little bit of that with a foamy, your arm's not going to fall off. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
Agreed.
that's the way I look at it too. Is
yeah.
There is an expectation that it's a foamy and you just have to grab it out of the box and there should be nothing wrong with it and everything should fit perfectly and just throw it up in the air. But like the realization is, I've had expensive foamies that you have to do a little bit of work to, and that's just And a lot of the stuff I'll do because I want it to last. I go over all the control surfaces and making sure everything's glued in properly. Like, you got to do it, because then you end up crashing and then that's it. So it's like, for me, it's worth the extra time to go through all of it and make sure everything is done right, because it's getting assembled at a factory. So the Pilatus is one. Pilatus is one of them. And then I gave the factory the feedback and everything on this. I told you about it, right? Was yours like that with the struts?
It was. It didn't feel like that at first. It's interesting. I tugged on them and they seemed okay, and then I went and flew it, and the first aerobatic maneuver I did, both of them popped out and hung down. Out. And so I was able to land it without messing them up, and I took it home and foam tacked them in there, and life is good.
So and that's a perfect example, right? So the plastic mounts for the struts, John, they have the wing struts, the plastic mounts where they mount to the wing and to the fuselage. The factory must use this like white 2-part epoxy. A lot of plane manufacturers use like this white gooey like epoxy stuff to glue them into the foam. For some reason, the epoxy didn't set up right. So on almost every single Pilatus that I sold from the first batch, these stupid strut things popped out. It's a quick fix. So I started telling people like Adam, hey, just so you know, what I would do is I would pull them out yourself, clean out the little bit of epoxy that's in there, and either hot glue them or glue. I hot glued mine. I got the hot glue nice and hot. I hot glued them back, and I haven't had a problem with them. But hot glue them in or foam tack them or epoxy them, whatever you're going to do. But just so you know, the glue isn't set up right at the factory. Like that's the perfect example of. Right.
Yeah, I got the residue of whatever that stuff they tried to glue it on with off,
Right.
and
It,
then
it
put
didn't
foam
it didn't
tack.
set up right is what it looks like. It just
Yeah,
didn't harden right at the factory is what
yeah.
it looks like.
And I let people know that we've got the video ready. It's this Friday. Will be the one
Nice.
and I tell them, Anthony was right up front and honest. He said that, you got to be concerned about this with the struts, and this is what happened. And
Hmm.
so I tugged on him, and I just basically tell him the story, but it's just not it isn't a big deal. I mean, I
No.
Yeah.
started when you got a box of balsa and some plans and maybe a cowling, and that's what you started with. So,
Yeah.
a foamy, I think we've got it really, really, really good.
We do. And it's amazing. I think about that, right? Like people like you who have been with the hobby for a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
how hard it was back then, even flying. Like there was no gyros, there was, the radios weren't as fancy. It's like you
Yeah.
had to really love the hobby to stick with it back then. Because it
Yeah.
definitely tested your patience. You know what I mean? Like
Well, but people had more patience back there. There was no internet. There was
no instant
no,
gratification.
getting annoyed with this because something doesn't load up fast enough to suit you. It just,
Yeah.
there
Right.
was a lot less to get into. I mean, when I was a kid, if we walked into somebody's garage and they had RC airplanes hanging up, I didn't care who you were. You were interested because it's just not something that you see every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll be helping a friend out or something that has, like a teenager, and two or three of them will walk through and walk right by a hangar that's
Hmm.
got the kind of stuff you got in yours, Jonathan, and never even give it a look. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how are you doing that?
Yeah.
How can you walk
Exactly.
past this stuff and not go, holy crap? I mean, but their whole life is right here,
Yeah.
and as long as they've got
We
that,
It was so my church has a young men's group, and they reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and they said, "Hey, they know what I do, and they're like, can we bring all the young men and some of the leaders over to just come check out what you do?" So yeah, we had them over one night, had a turbine all ready to go, started the engine up, ran it for them, so they were just tickled to see that thing go,
that is
right? It was
cool.
cool for me to see
Yeah,
their reactions, right? And see these
yeah,
kids, and they're I say kids, they're like 12 to 18 years old. And it's
right.
pretty neat to see the young guys actually smile and be interested in that stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
cool.
We need
That's
more of
really
that.
cool.
yeah.
It's
Yes.
good to share the hobby, man, and promote it any
We
way you
need more of
can.
that. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So it's funny because I tried with my kids, and you're talking about like the patience and instant gratification stuff.
Yeah.
I did a lot of I had a couple broken bones when I was younger, being the daredevil that I was, and I spent a lot of time building like the models, like the rebel models and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to get my kids to like build one, and it was like 20 minutes in, like, oh, how many more pieces do we have? What do we
How long is
do?
this going to take?
Right. And then that was it. And I remember spending hours painting the little wheels and the little seats and
Yeah.
everything on the thing, and then popping
Hmm.
them out and then gluing them into place. Like that was like
Yep.
a fun Saturday for me as a kid. Like that
That's
stuff's
cool.
gone now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I don't
they
know,
want to
man.
buy
It's
one
a
done or 3D
Yeah.
print
Oh
one
yeah.
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah. Well, there's such a market for it, and what is funny is it's not just the kids. I mean,
No.
I'll meet people. There are guys at my field that are. I mean, they're older than me. Guys in their 60s, 70s,
Hmm.
and they are all about as easy as you can possibly make it. And there's a couple guys that get airplanes, and they'll fly it around unsafe, just do circles and do touch and goes, flip it out of safe, do a loop, flip it right back into safe so they don't crash it because they don't see very well. And so I tell everybody, listen, I don't care how you enjoy the hobby. If you've got a
Yeah.
crap eating grin on your face when you're done and you're not putting anybody in danger, go for it. You're
Yep.
good with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But it is sad to see somebody have an issue that's, I mean, like what we talked about earlier. I can't fly
Right.
my airplane because the prop's out of stock. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
learn a little bit about modeling. It's
Yeah.
not, enough to know that you can buy an aftermarket prop and still fly your plane.
Yeah.
But
All right, gentlemen, we're up past an hour right now, so
Cool.
and I actually am going to stay up tonight. I got to get that Norden out, and I got to beat Adam to video on this thing. So
you'll beat me, man. You may
I gotta
not
get
beat me
tracked
to
laughing.
flying it, but you'll beat me to release because I've got other stuff I got to get out before then. But I am looking forward to flying it. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to flying it too. But it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you. I'm glad you said yes and came on. And
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's nice
Gentlemen,
to meet you.
it is great to meet you face to face, and it has been a pleasure, and the honor is mine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, John. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Sounds
All right.
good. Thanks, guys.
Adam, I'll
Take
talk
care,
to you soon
guys.
as well.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
See you.
See you guys later.